What would you do if you had to choose between saving an innocent kid's life and losing everything you've ever worked for? That's the impossible decision facing music mogul David King in Spike Lee's newest thriller, and trust me, this isn't just another kidnapping movie. Welcome back to Movie Capsule Digest. Today, we're breaking down Highest to Lowests, the crime thriller that has critics split right down the middle. Stick around until the end because that final prison scene, it changes everything. Meet David King, played by Denzel Washington. They call him Da King because he's got the best ears in the business. He's built stacking hits records from nothing into an empire, but here's the problem, the glory days are behind him. The label's facing a corporate takeover and David hates what modern music has become. He's complaining about AI-generated tracks with no soul, no heart. So he hatches a plan. He's going to buy back control of his company using his Dumbo penthouse and his art collection as collateral for a massive loan. His wife Pam, played by Ilfenesh Hadera, isn't happy about this. She tells him straight up, "You used to love discovering new underground talent. Now all you do is complain about the industry." And she's right. David's become the kind of guy who name drops Al Green, Barry White, James Brown, legends from decades ago, while completely ignoring the new artists trying to get his attention. He's got a teenage son named Trey, who plays basketball, and a chauffeur named Paul Christopher, who's been his friend since childhood. Paul is played by Jeffrey Wright, and let me tell you, the chemistry between him and Denzel, absolutely electric. Everything seems manageable until David gets a phone call that changes everything. The voice on the phone says, "I have your son. I want $17.5 million. David panics. The NYPD and FBI swarm his penthouse within minutes. This is a high-profile case, so they're treating it with urgency. But here's where things get complicated. The detectives immediately start treating Paul with suspicion. Why? Because he's David's childhood friend from the same neighborhood, he has a criminal record, and most significantly, he's a practicing Muslim. The film doesn't shy away from showing the Islamophobia Paul faces from law enforcement, but then, plot twist. Trey comes home, he was never kidnapped. Remember that green headband Trey was wearing? During basketball practice, he let his best friend Kyle borrow it. When the kidnappers saw a kid with that headband leaving the facility, they grabbed him thinking it was Trey. But Kyle isn't David's son. Kyle is Paul's son. The kidnappers made a mistake. They took the wrong kid. Now David faces the ultimate test. The kidnapper calls back and says, "I don't care whose kid it is. Pay the $17.5 million or Kyle dies." And David's first reaction? He refuses. He tells Paul straight up, "You expect me to pay for some kidnapper's mistake?" This is where the movie gets really uncomfortable. David is not a hero, not yet. He's a wealthy man who's worked his whole life for financial security, and he's being asked to give it all up for someone else's child. Even when Trey begs his father to help, David doesn't budge. He makes it clear. He's not someone who bows to his son's demands. So what changes his mind? It's not conscience, it's not friendship, it's public relations. His business partner warns him, if he lets Kyle die, his reputation and the labels will be destroyed. So David agrees to pay, but with one condition. The police have to guarantee they'll get the money back. The ransom drop happens on the subway during the Puerto Rican Day Parade, one of those classic Spike Lee touches where New York City itself becomes a character. David is supposed to throw the backpack of money off the train, and the police have planted a tracking device inside. But here's the thing, the kidnappers are smart. They use the parade crowds as cover, they employ a brigade of masked motorcyclists playing catch with the backpack, swapping it between riders so the cops can't follow. Kyle gets released, beaten and traumatized, but alive. But the money? Gone. Now David is in serious trouble. The investors who loaned him the money want it back within a week. They didn't sign up for a ransom payment. And to make things worse, the positive publicity from saving Kyle has caused Stack and Hit stock to rise, so the other owners no longer want to sell their shares. David is trapped. He did the right thing, and it's costing him everything. But then Kyle remembers something. While he was captive, he kept hearing a song with the lyrics "from the front to the back." And David, with those legendary ears of his, recognizes that voice immediately. It's Young Felon, an aspiring rapper he'd rejected for a record deal months ago, played by AAP Rocky. When the cops don't take David's theory seriously, he and Paul decide to handle this themselves. They track down Young Felon's girlfriend, Marisol, played by Ice Spice in her acting debut, and she reveals the motive. Young Felon wasn't just some random criminal. He was a superfan. He followed David's family on social media, idolized him from afar, and desperately wanted a meeting. Every time he tried to approach David, security turned him away. The frustration of being ignored, combined with jealousy over the family's wealth, pushed him over the edge. David confronts young Fallon in a recording studio armed and dangerous. And here's where the movie gets really interesting. Instead of just arresting him, David actually coaches him. He gives him pointers on his music, treats him like a real artist. For a moment, there's genuine connection. Young Fallon tells David he saw him as a father figure, but then he snaps, shoots at David, hits Paul in the eye, and tries to escape on the subway. David chases him down, beats him unconscious, and the police recover the full ransom money from under young Fallon's bed. But the story doesn't end there. Young Fallon becomes a sensation. The kidnapping scandal makes him famous. His songs hit over 1 billion streams. Fans gather outside the courthouse demanding his freedom. He takes a plea deal, 25 years in prison. But he has one final request, a meeting with David. Here's where Spike Lee throws in a wild stylistic choice. We cut to young Fallon performing in a prison jumpsuit like a music video. Lee calls it a short film in young Fallon's imagination. This is the collaboration he always wanted with his idol. In the real world, separated by prison glass, young Fallon makes his pitch. Sign me to your label. I'm the hottest artist in the world right now. And David, who started this movie obsessed with money and status, looks him in the eye and says, all money ain't good money. He tells young Fallon that he can't work with him, not because of the crime, but because the music isn't good enough. This is the moment of transformation. David realizes he's been so focused on business that he lost his love for actual music. He leaves Stackin' Hits entirely and starts a small, independent family label. The final scene? David listens to a new artist named Sula, discovered by his son, performing a song called Yep, Highest to Lowest. She sings about being underestimated, coming out of bad relationships, seeing life clearly. David is moved. This is the kind of artist he wants to champion. And that's how it ends. Not with revenge, not with violence, but with redemption. So what does it all mean? Highest to Lowest is about class, privilege, and what we owe each other. It's about a man who starts at the top, literally living in a penthouse above it all, and has to descend to the streets, to his roots, to remember who he really is. I want to hear from you. Would you have paid the ransom? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more movie breakdowns that actually explain the ending, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.